Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Okay, today our group will be presenting on chapter 3, which is managing across culture. Okay, strategic predisposition. Okay, most MNC have a cultural strategic predisposition toward doing things in a particular way. Okay, the four distinct predisposition are: the first one is ethnocentric. Okay, ethnocentrics mean the firms allow values and interests of the parent company to guide strategic decision. Okay, the second ones are polycentric. Okay, polycentric company make strategic decision tailored to suit the cultures of the countries where the MNC operate. Okay, the third one is regiocentric. Okay, regiocentric, the firms blends its own interests with those of its subsidiaries on a regional basis. Okay, these last ones are geocentric. Okay, geocentric is company integrates a global system approach to decision making. Okay, most MNCs are now very committed to globalization imperative. So they are continuing the effort to address the local needs. So when they are trying to do this, there are unique strategies that they have done to different cultures. Okay, the first one is that the diversity of worldwide industry standards, such as those in broadcasting, where television sets must be manufactured on a country by country basis. Okay, the second one, a continual demand by local customers for differentiated products, as in the case of consumer goods that must meet the local taste. Okay, the third one is the importance of being an insider, as in the case of customers who prefer to buy local. Next is the difficult of managing global organizations, as in the case of some local subsidiaries that want more decentralization and others that want less. Okay, the last one is the need to allow subsidiaries to use their own abilities and talents and not to be restrained by headquarters, as in the case of local units that know how to customize products for their market and generate high returns on investment with limited production output. Okay, so we know that different countries have different cultures on how they promotes their product. So the MNC have to respond to the cultural need of local operation or customer. So they need to use the regional strategies. For example, as what in the pictures show, it show that German, French, and British, they all have different way of promoting their product in the television. For example, Germans, they really focus on factual and rational. Sport feature extended family of two parents, two children, and grandmother. While the British, most of their advertising is more to louder, which means it's value more louder, and typical broad, self-deprecating commercial, which that mocks both the advertiser and consumer. So we can see that in different country, the way they are promoting their or advertise something is different. So the MNCs need to adapt to this. So there are many challenges that are faced by the MNCs. Okay, the first one is staying abreast of local market conditions and not assuming that all markets are the same. Okay, the second one is to knowing the strengths and weaknesses of each subsidiaries and assisting them in addressing local demands. Okay, and the last one is giving more autonomy to the subsidiary. Okay, next we move on to cross-cultural differences and similarities. Okay, parochialism and simplification. Okay, parochialism means the tendency to view the world through one's own eye and perspective, which means that in certain or in certain management, they tend to view what they think on other country is the same as their own country. So so this is not very good, and this need to be avoided. Okay, next is simplification. Okay, simplification means the process of exhibiting the same orientation toward different cultural groups. Okay, this means that when the management they tend to bring what their uh, country culture into the other another country, which mean that for example is that the people in United States they just doing what their culture uh, always do in their management in another countries such as in the India or China. So it's not very good. So that is what is implication simplification mean. Okay, next is similarities across cultures. Okay, so we know that internalization begins in the year of 1917. So in this year, researchers have uncovered some similarities across cultures. Okay, so the researchers are Lutherans. Okay, Lutherans have discovered the similarities are the first one as organization size increase, commitment decline. Second, as structure became more employee focused, commitment is increased. The last one is the more positive the perception of organization climate, the greater the employee commitment. Okay, many differences across culture. Okay, the first one is we are going to look at the Shell. Okay, Shell use a hair system of appraisal. Okay, what is hair? Okay, hair is a short synonym for uh, a word that taken as helicopter, analysis, imaginations, reality, and leadership. Okay, helicopter is the capacity to take a broad view from above, while analysis is the ability to evaluate situation logically and completely. Imaginations is the ability to be creative and think outside the box. Reality are the ability to use information realistically, and leadership is the ability to effectively govern life and inspire personnel. Okay, from this we can see that in different country, uh, the health system vary or change in different country. As for example, we will look at in Netherlands, they are more focused on reality, while in France, the reality are at the bottom. Okay, it is also the same as we look at the Germany. As we can see, Germany really focus on leadership, while Britain they focus more on helicopter, and the leadership is the last one. So we can see that in different country they have different way of managing their cultures. Okay, next we will look at the culture in India. Okay, uh, why do many foreign industries love to come to India is because they have an unsaturated consumer market coupled with cheap labor and production regulation have helped make India a desirable place for a market or global firms. Also, the government in India plays an important role in attracting the foreign investor since many of their recently bureaucratic restrictions have been lifted. Okay, so the culture in India is like the universal way or method of greeting is greeting to one another is to press one's palms together in front of the chest and say Namaste. Okay, Namaste means greetings in India. Okay, also in India, Western business people uh, wear shirts, trousers, tie, and suits. So this wear are recognized as a proper attire in India. Also, Indian business people, on the other hand, they will often to wear local dresses. And finally, it is important to remember that Indians are very tolerant of outsiders, and they understand that many are unfamiliar with local customs and procedures. Therefore, there is no need to make a foreign attempt to conform to Indian cultural tradition. It is just enough that we show or make an effort to be polite and courteous is sufficient enough.
So as far as we know, MNC are increasingly active in all parts of the world. The concept of the country cluster, which is the idea that certain regions of the world have similar culture. For example, the way that Americans do business in the US is very similar to the way that British do business in England. Even in the Anglo culture, however, there are pronounced differences. Any other cluster, such as in Asia, in cultural difference in selected countries and region, it focuses on the cultural highlight and difference in selected country and region that provide the necessary understanding and perspective for effective management across the culture. Figure 5.2 show how the value score for manager in China compare manager in US and Argentina. So guys, what we can conclude from figure 5.2. So as we can see, the web structure is based on the factor such as individualism, consciousness of social and professional status, and risky behavior can be used to show both similarities and difference between multiple cultures. Other than that, it also can indicate the potential areas of cultural misunderstanding when conducting a business. As shown in the figures 5.2, Chinese managers tend to value assertiveness significantly more than Argentine manager, indicating that aggressive or confrontational behavior in business negotiation. For example, it will not be viewed in a negative way by Chinese businessmen, but by Argentine businessmen may find it inappropriate. A major cultural difference between China and many Western countries is the issue of time. Chinese culture tend to value punctuality, so it is important that those who do business with them arrive on time. During meetings, such as those held when negotiating a contract, Chinese businessmen may ask many questions and nod their assent as they answer. So this nodding is usually mean that they understand or they are being polite. So it is a seldom mean that they like what they're hearing or they want to enter into the contract. Chinese businessmen will make a decision in their own good time, and it is common for outside businessmen to make several trips to China before a deal is finally concluded. Moreover, not only are the numerous meetings, but sometimes they are unilaterally cancelled at the last minute and need to be rescheduled. So guys, another dimension of Chinese culture is called guanxi. So guanxi is a good connection. So this connection can result in a such thing as lower cost for doing businesses. Yet guanxi does not lower cost, it goes beyond lower cost. In practice, guanxi resembles nepotism. So what is nepotism? Nepotism is where the individual in the authority make decision on the basis of the family ties or social connection rather than the objective of the business. Additionally, outsiders doing business in China must be aware that Chinese people will typically argue that they have the guanxi to get the job done, when in reality they may or may not have the necessary connection. So when conducting business in Russia, it is important to build personal relationship with partner. It is because business law and contract does not mean as much in Russia as they do in the West. So when the contract is disputed, there is a little protection for the aggrieved party to claim or to do further action. So it is because the time and effort needed to legally enforce the agreement is longer than the West. So detailed contract can be hammered out later, but in the beginning, all the count are friendship. Ethical behavior in Europe and in the US is not always the same in Russia. So for example, we can see that it is traditional in Russia to give a gift to those who want to transact a business. So this approach is regarded as bribery in US. So we can see in the recent year, large companies such as IKEA have to face a repercussion in their home market due to the bribery aggregation from their businesses conduct in Russia. Conducting business in Russia requires a careful consideration of cultural factor, and it often takes a lot longer of time than initially anticipated. So however, the benefit may be worth the wait, and when everything is complete, there is a final cultural tradition that we must be observed, feed, and reinforce the agreement with a nice dinner together, and with the invitation to the facilities in our country so they can observe our facilities.
Hi, Assalamualaikum. My name is Muhammad Amin Muhammad. Today I want to present managing culture, France, Brazil and Arab country. Okay, for France, in France, one social class is very important, and these classes include the aristocracy, the upper bourgeoisie, the upper middle bourgeoisie, the middle, the lower middle, and the lower social interaction are affected by class stereotype, and during their lifetime, most French people do not encounter much change in social status. Additionally, the French are very status conscious, and they like to provide signs of their status such as knowledge of literature and the arts, as well design tastefully decorated house and high level of education. In the workplace, many French people are not motivated by competition or the desire to emulate fellow workers. On the other hand, a few will disagree that they work extremely hard in their regularly scheduled time and have a reputation for high productivity. Part of this reputation result from the French tradition of craftsmanship. Part of it also is accounted for by a large percentage of workforce being in small independent business where there is widespread respect for job well done. In general, French employees do not derive much motivation from professional accomplishment. Rather, they believe quality of life is what really matters. The next point for managing culture in France, which is most France tend to be highly centralized and rigid structures. As a result, it usually takes a longer to carry out decision, because this arrangement is quite different from the more decentralized flattened organization in the United States. Both middle and lower level United States expatriate managers who work in French subsidiaries often find bureaucratic red tape a source of considerable frustration. There are also marked differences at the upper level of management. Also, in French company, top managers have far more authority than their United States counterparts, and they are less accountable for their action. While top-level United States executives must continually defend their decision to the CEO or board of directors, French executives are challenged only if the company has poor performance. As a result, those who have studied French management find that they take a more autocratic approach. Okay, next we move to the managing culture in Brazil. Brazil considered a Latin American country, but it is important to highlight this nation since some characteristics make it markedly different to manage as compared to Latin American countries. Even though today Brazil is extremely multicultural, the country still demonstrates many attributes derived from its Portuguese heritage, including its official language. Brazilian business people tend to have relaxed work ethic, often respecting those who inherit wealth, and have strong familial roots over those seeking entrepreneurial opportunities. They view in a very relaxed manner, so punctuality is not a strong suit in this country. Overall, the people are very good-natured and tend to avoid confrontation, yet they seek out risky endeavors. Moreover, in Brazil, physical contact is acceptable as a form of communication. Brazilian business people tend to stand very close to others when having a conversation and will touch the person's back, arm or elbow as the greeting or sign of respect. Additionally, face-to-face interaction is preferred as way to communicate, so avoid simply emailing or calling. Do not be surprised if business meeting begin anywhere from 10 to 30 minutes after the scheduled time, because Brazilian culture tends to not be governed by the clock. Appearance can be very important to Brazilian culture, as it will reflect both you and your company. When conducting business, men should wear conservative dark suits, shirt and ties, while women should dress nicely but avoid too conservative or formal attire. Brazilian managers often wonder, for example, if Americans make so much money, why do they dress like a poor? And then, passion is key when managing business in Brazil. Many processes are longer and more drawn out than in other cultures, including negotiation. Expressing frustration or impatience and attempting to speed up procedure may lose the deal. The slow process and relaxed atmosphere do not imply that it is acceptable to be ill-prepared. Presentation should be informative and expressive, and consistency is important. It is common for Brazilian business people to bring a lot of people attend negotiation, mostly to observe and learn. Subsequent meeting may include members of higher management requiring a rehashing of information. Okay, we move to the last one, which is the managing culture in Arab countries. One is the Arab view of time. In the United States, it is common to use the cliche, time is money. In Arab countries, a favorite of expression is bukra, inshallah, which mean tomorrow if God wills, an expression that explains the fatalistic approach to time common to many Arab cultures. As a result, if Arab business people commit themselves to date in the future and fail to show up, they may feel no guilt or concern because they believe they have no control over time in the first place. Arab business people tend to attach a great deal of importance to status and rank. When meeting with them, one should pay deference to the senior person first. It also important never to criticize or berate anyone publicly. This causes the individual to lose face, and the same is true for the person who makes this comment. Mutual respect is required at all times. Then, in the Arab countries, initial meetings typically are used to get to know the other party. Business-related discussion may not occur until the third or fourth meeting, also in contrast to the common perception among many Western people who have never been to an Arab country. It is necessary to bring the other party as a gift. If this is done, however, it should be modest gift. A good example is novelty or souvenir item from the visitor to the home country.